If you see somebody that's been isolating and you're a little concerned, invite them into your world, right? Like someone that is experiencing depression it's like free labor in a sense for you. Invite them to come over and help you do something around the house. Like, hey, I got to do this thing in the backyard and I need help with the lawnmower. I don't know nothing about that stuff. But do you mind coming over and let's talk and stuff while I mow the lawn or whatever? Like get people involved into your world, pull them out of that isolative space so that way you can start having a conversation with them. Hey girl, you want to go for a walk with me today? And then while you're on the walk, then you can have the conversation. I know for me, I love food and I love to talk over food. So if I'm eating something, you could probably ask me any question you want to ask me and I'm going to start talking. But if you sit me down at a table and there's nothing else going on, I'm going to be a little bit more reserved and a little bit more mindful on how I respond to you. So you got to know the person that you're communicating with and what is their most vulnerable space. Where are they most comfortable, right? Is it you guys watching a movie in the living room, just laughing and chilling, right? Is it going to go get some ice cream? I'm just throwing things out there on how to start the conversation. And it may just be like, you know what? I'm concerned about you. I'm just going to keep it straight. I don't know what's going on. I'm worried about you. Are you okay? And it's okay to be direct with your conversations. Like we said earlier, people are really just asking for you to see them. So by you just starting the conversation, it's going to open up the floodgates for them to share and pour out what they can. But you got to be a safe haven for that person. You have to be able to be somebody that they can trust and know that what they're sharing is staying right there with you unless it needs to go to someone for their safety, of course, right? But it's you have to be able to create a space where they know that it's not going to go to the next person and then everybody knows with their business, right? So make sure that you are a safe haven for that person. So you are the person that is experiencing depression and you are seeking help. You may not want to come out and just say, I'm depressed or I'm feeling suicidal. You could just say something like, oh, I haven't been feeling good lately. And that's going to spark a friend or someone that's in tune with you. They're going to say, oh, what's going on? What's up? You want to talk about it? So you could use things like that, or you could just say, you know what, I've been having these crazy thoughts lately and maybe I need to go talk to somebody, so somebody knows that something is going on and hopefully the other person will tap in and support you and encourage you. You may not know what to say, like Dr. Taya said. Maybe you could just be a support and go with them. Maybe you could say, hey, how about I'll roll with you to the doctor's office if you want me to. If you don't really feel comfortable talking to him, I'll go with you and help you ask whatever it is you need to ask. So you can be a support even if you don't always know the right thing to say.
Right. I see some questions rolling in, Shanice, too.
Okay, let's see.
So it looks like one of the ones I saw was, can you be born with depression?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I saw that. Can you be born with depression tendencies if mom is suffering with it during pregnancy? So did you want to take it or you want me to?
So we could both talk about what that would look like. Okay. One moment. So I do believe there's some biological factors related to that, and there can be genetic disposition, meaning mom can have it and was struggling with sadness her entire pregnancy, and the baby came out and cried all the time and was depressed. But I have to also add that there's the environmental and psychological component there too, right? Because when we look at depression, there's a chemical imbalance going on there in a person's brain, in their structure, in their function, right? So we want to say that biologically you can be affected, but also environmentally. A lot of people have been exposed to not so good situations that cause them to feel sad constantly. If you're a person that maybe is not really making enough for the rent, right? Or don't have enough food to eat, or don't really have friends, right? There's some environmental factors that go there. Or you live in a community that is just not so safe, right? And so when we talk about can a person really be born with it, I think it plays a role, but there's also other components like environmental and psychological that goes with it as well.
Absolutely. You nailed it on the head. Some people do have genetic tendencies from it. So it's interesting because we all have some cells or genetics that that can develop into depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, but ours may not form. So it's in our system. It just depends on how our brain works, and as we're developing as a child, do we then fully fully have the cell or gene of depression, schizophrenia? But you hit it on the nail. It can be genetic. So then you have to work that much harder to pay attention to those warning signs, because if it is in your family, then more than likely it's something that you more than likely will have to deal with too. And so what are ways that you can combat it, or when you feel it coming on? Because sometimes it's inevitable. You're not going to be able to get away from those symptoms, but when you feel them coming on, what can you do so you don't go all the way down into a downward spiral? And environment, social trauma is real, right? So when we experience traumatic events, we feel it in our body. So if a pregnant woman, think about a pregnant woman who is in an abusive relationship, right? Who's being beaten, who's not able to nourish her body, the baby is feeling that, and the baby is taking in all of that traumatic experience. And sometimes they are born with depressive symptoms, PTSD symptoms. So we call it trauma in the womb. So it's definitely possible for sure. Yeah, I see. Is it possible to be there for someone that is depressed while you're struggling with depression yourself? That's a good one. The answer is yes, but be careful. Mm-hmm. So I would say, so Dr. Taya talked about earlier wisdom. If it was me personally, I wouldn't. And if it's somebody that I'm close with, I think I would be able to say, you know what, I'm really dealing with some stuff on my own right now, and I'm not really in the space or a good space to be able to take this on too. How about we go get help together? Or maybe we should talk to somebody. That I would do opposed to taking it on. Dr. Taya?
Yes, I agree. It's very difficult if you're struggling yourself to try to help somebody bring themselves out of the struggle. And so I can't stress it enough. If you don't feel like you're equipped to handle it, please refer that person out to someone that's more equipped, or someone whom they have a relationship with. If all else fails, if you got to take them to the nearest hospital because they're really struggling, to the nearest ER, call the suicide prevention hotline, or reach out and get resources. That would be the best bet. The first thing I can think about is, what do they tell us on the airplane when we get ready to take off? You got to save yourself first. You got to put that mask on your face and save yourself first. So we're really not equipped when we're in the struggle ourselves to really try to bring somebody out. When you're depressed like that, you don't even have enough strength to try to pull somebody from wanting to just try to figure out what's going on for you. So please try to reach out to someone else who's more equipped, possibly. And not that you're not the right person, you're not the right person for that time, right then and there. Okay, you can still be an excellent friend, but right then, if you're struggling, I think both of you guys need help. So trying to help her and she's trying to help you, somebody's going to go deeper and deeper into it.
Yeah. Okay. And you're a friend, not a therapist, right?
Right.
And that's something. Exercising boundaries are so important. And I think in this field too, it's very hard sometimes to turn the switch on and off. I know for me personally, it's hard to turn the switch on and off, but you are not the therapist, you are not the doctor, you're not the psychiatrist to your friend. Don't encourage them or tell them what type of medication they should be taking. Don't start giving them therapeutic practices to start implementing. Guide them. Be a listening ear, right? Because as friends, we want to listen. We want to validate what somebody's feeling, let them know that they're heard, and then offer support. Help them outsource for help. Do not become that person's therapist, because even in that, there's a liability. Okay? So I would say be very mindful. Dr. Terry, there's one that says, does praying and reading the word make depression go away?
Interesting. No, it does not make it go away. It can absolutely help.
It's a tool.
It's definitely a tool. But you have to be careful. If further assistance is needed, He's an excellent God. And He's placed people in the world that can give you the tools that you need to manage whatever symptoms you're going through. So He has Christian psychologists and Christian psychiatrists in the world, and people who are full of resources that's near and dear to your heart that can help. So will prayer work? Absolutely, prayer can be used as a tool. Will reading your word work? Yes. There are many times I felt sad and I declared the word of the Lord over my head and over my mind, and I started to feel a sense of calmness. So while it does work, I don't want you to rely heavily on praying it'll go away. So that's one of those stigmas that we were talking about earlier that we have to learn to demystify, because God has put some people in place that represent Christianity, represent your same Christian values and belief systems that can still offer you help.